seconds off, which is something we were talking about just before we came on air. Well, in terms of the top 10, the only rookie in there was Alvaro Carpe, Brian Uriarte and Hakim Danish, obviously one event rider, the wildcards or subs, so we're not going to take them into account. Then further down, Marco Morelli was the only other rider who's a rookie or hasn't been doing a full season as of this year, who was in the top 14. This track, even though the rookies, some know it, Valentin Peroni, we know he knows it, this track does take a lot of learning. There's a lot of riders that have a lot of experience here, and that is just, well, I don't know what they were going on about there, but that might just be taking them a little bit of time to get up to speed here.
They've just stuck out commentary on and heard your voice and were celebrating in the box, and understandably so. Yeah, it's a very technical track, isn't it? It's one of the main reasons why MotoGP contesting here. It's got a bit of everything, and we did say this morning, well I said anyway, that Peroni hasn't had experience around here, which is not the case. His management team is involved with ZK Racing, which look after Malaysian riders. Zafari Khairuddin, a name that many of you will know, I'm sure, is involved with that. And I know Peroni spent a good few weeks down here in pre-season, training, getting to know the circuit, of course, as well. So watch out for Peroni this weekend, and of course Hakim Danish as well. A brilliant session this morning for the Malaysian wildcard, who we are expecting to be on this grid full-time next year potentially. There's confirmations to be made. We're getting towards the end of the season now, guys and girls, so please give us the confirmations we need so we can begin chatting about it with a little bit more authority, let's say. A big clean-up job going on here. We saw it at turn 4, and this is down into turn 5.
Yeah, this is 5, that downhill left. And yeah, Scott Ogden's face saying it all there. Scott Ogden and Noah Detweiler just looking on the CIP green power machine. We know that it's going to be Adrian Cruz, says at least one rider confirmed in that team. Yeah, they're looking straight ahead. You could have given us something to go. Yeah, come on, give us away. Alvaro Carpe, you could have given us away. No, they're all just giggling away. Someone's obviously cracking jokes down there in the Red Bull KTM-I. I didn't realise he was on stand-up out.
Gave us a little wink, didn't he, there, Alvaro Carpe. Yeah, session oil on track, so understand we clean up than just the fluids on circuit.
I'm quite exactly what they're laughing at. So maybe next time the camera we can have the rider and pan round quickly. We can have a good giggle up here in commentary. This is no laughing matter, is it? This is over the hill. And as I say, that downhill left-hander at turn 5. It sort of took Fabio Di Gianantonio out of pre-season testing, of course. So that wheelie that he was popping, and then when he landed it, well, he didn't land it very well. The leaf blowers are out and the spray is out. Problem is that is downhill, so whatever fluid's on there would have run as well a little bit, so they're going to have to clean up. This could be a rather lengthy delay here. You can see that the one Hutchison Green without a bit of rain, and unfortunately oil or track contamination mixed in with a heavy downfall generally isn't a good mix, so we might be bracing ourselves in for a bit of fiddling. There's Jake Dixon. Clap eyes on him while you can in Moto2, because he's off to Supers next year. World Superbike, what who that is for World Supers to have Jake Dixon on a factory Honda. And the way that thing's been going in the hands of Xavi Vierge, that is very, very exciting from London 96. This is Eddie O'Shea and his crew chief Paul Williamson. They're just checking out the track conditions. The thing is, it has stopped raining now for about an hour over here in Sepang. So we will have dry running at some point. Whether or not it's dry enough to head out down the track on slicks at the moment. The thing is, this track is going to improve right the way through the session if we don't get more rain. So perhaps there's not a lot to win anyway by rolling the dice early on.
Yeah, I think you'd be a brave person and team to send your riders out at this moment in time on slick tyres. But I do agree, this track is going to dry pretty quickly. If we don't get more rain, I can see some very dark clouds over in the distance towards turns 3 and 4. To be honest, I think this is going to be the situation all weekend long. It's been pretty much the same weather since we got here on Monday or Tuesday. And as we know, coming to Sepang, no matter what the year is, it's going to rain at some point. It catches it out sometimes it doesn't. Hopefully for our case and the riders' case, it can stay clear as much as possible, but it's not keeping the fans away There's a Maximo Kiles flag, there's a Valentin Peroni flag as well.
Rookies, are you sure? That's brilliant. Whoever's come up with that, please. That is fantastic. Are you sure? Yeah, we've been asking that in race trim for a long time, particularly with Max Keelan, because he has been an absolute rocket in 2025 in the few rounds he's done. Max Keelan's going to try and take that silver medal as well, of course, if he can. Keelan's has been an absolute standout performer, and yeah, we're not sure either, I've got to say. A great banner.
Yeah, the fans love it here, don't they? Passionate for not just MotoGP, but Moto2 and Moto3 as well, as we just look at some nice slow-mo shots from earlier on when it was dry a few hours ago this morning for free practice one. Keeles didn't enjoy himself too much out there in terms of the results. Anyway, down in P19, but I don't think, as we said, we wouldn't be too much into that. Especially in Indonesia, the likes of Keeles, Pini and Peroni going out there and crashing on a Friday, pushing hard in the early exchanges when you don't necessarily need to. And conditions this morning weren't too bad because we didn't see any crashes in Moto3, but tricky enough. You don't want to go out and just ruin your weekend first thing on a Friday morning. So a little bit of a slower start for some riders who we normally see further up the timesheets, the likes of Keeles, the likes of Pini down in 18th as well. For Osato, last year's podium finish down in P23.
I say that's now over at turn. That's not turn 6 because we're looking at turn 6 from our comms position. Well, dear. Well, I think this track has been heavily contaminated, hasn't it? And we are going to have a lengthy delay here. Let's chat about Joel Esteban if we can. David Alonso right there alongside him. Joel Esteban, what a performance. Last time out, beating his teammates we touched on this morning. And yeah, I can imagine that's what Max Keeles was doing last time out in Phillip Island to Joel Esteban. Keeles is, of course, one of the favoured sons in the Aspar camp, but Joel Esteban coming in with a P4, doing him on the last lap. Absolutely fantastic stuff from Esteban, who really looking to be getting back in the paddock very soon, I'm sure, with performances like that. Shop window, he is in.
Yeah, I don't think Keeles would have been doing that with a smile on his face either, unlike David Alonso down there, but it's a great example really for Esteban and other standing riders. You know, you can come in with previous experiences. Esteban had a topsy-turvy rookie season last year, but didn't do too bad. He had 3 top 10s in his first 5 races, then it went away a little bit, moved back to Junior GPs, 3rd overall, I think, in that class as things stand. And yeah, I mean, coming to a track like Phillip Island, he's obviously had a few Grand Prix under his belt in Moto3 this year. He's hopped around a little bit. He's been with the Aspar team. He's been with Tech 3 when Woolston was out injured. He's been with Leopard when Fernandez was out injured. So yeah, Esteban coming in and just doing a fine job, more than fine actually, a brilliant job. No one, I think, coming into Phillip Island would have said Esteban is going to beat Keeles this weekend when they're both finishing in the top 5. Absolutely not. So fair play to Esteban. And yeah, definitely in the shop window, the teams who are looking for riders to pick up. There's not many seats left, of course, but yeah, he'll be firmly putting himself on the radar for a seat in 2026, and if not, in the future as well, because there's obvious talent there.
This is Nicola Carraro, who is back with us. He was back with us last time out, but missed a couple of hours in Japan. Indonesia through a bit of illness, so good to see Carraro back. Carraro this morning, well, you 16th place. As you can see, the safety car is going out on track. I can tell you from where we are as well, there is a truck, a couple of cars as well, just behind where this safety car is on the track. And it's just going around surveying and assessing the situation. Is there anywhere else where the oil has been dropped? Is there anywhere else that needs a little bit of attention? Well, safety is paramount in motorsport, and particularly here in MotoGP. They wouldn't send the guys and girls out on track if the conditions were not suitable. So if you are just joining us and expecting us to be talking about lap times and not filling endlessly, then I'm sorry to disappoint you, because we've had a bit of an oil spill, it seems, on the Asia Talent Cup first practice of the weekend. Unfortunately, that oil spill seems to have gone a fair way around what is already one of the longest circuits on our calendar, so a little bit more attention needed. This is Ryusa Yamanaka, 13th earlier on today. He was right up there inside the top 14. A pleasant surprise, I'm sure, a pleasant feeling, because Australia, absolutely nothing to write home about. There was very little to talk about, I've got to say. Back with you, Elwin, and in the media debriefs at the very end, Ryuta Yamanaka, not a happy camper. He is a normally very, very pleasant lad, but Australia, it didn't go well for him at all. He had an absolute horror show of a weekend, qualified in 16th, was down in 20 seconds, best session of the week, came in practice when he got himself into Q2, that was 14th, but there was absolutely no silver lining to what were very dark clouds for the Australian Grand Prix for the number 6.
Yeah, couldn't have said anything less really to myself and the camera when he was chatting away in Japanese. Said literally about 5 words. Fortunately, as you say, Kiko Ryusi is a very pleasant human being, great to chat to, always gives you a smile and a good morning or good afternoon. He wasn't in the moods on Sunday afternoon in Australia, and understandably so. The last thing you want to be doing really is answering questions about performances when you've not had a good day at the office. So yeah, Yamanaka this weekend crucial. I'm sure he's obviously experienced in this class now. He's made 113 starts. They've not all been good, of course, as well. So Yamanaka will have put that to the back of his mind, and obviously coming into this weekend with a fresh mindset.
You mentioned he only spoke 5 words to you. Most people don't give you that, mate, so take what you're given. Luca Lunetta is going to be moving up to Moto2 next year. He's in his final 3 Grand Prix as a Moto3 rider. He needs to move up. He is incredibly tall. Guido Pini isn't going to be far behind him. Both very, very tall riders. Lunetta coming back from that broken leg he sustained back at Assen. Podium at Silverstone, another at Mandalika, which was his best. 5 in the 6th to 10th last year, qualified 6th, finished 10th here at Sepang last year. So Luca Lunetta will be in his final 3 Grand Prix, as we say, and will be looking to try and add his name to the Moto2.
Yeah, he certainly will, and he's definitely in that equation. Or after coming back from injury, Luca Lunetta, he's been very impressive. Obviously that fractured right leg in Assen really curtailed his season, and when he was describing it, I spoke to him after he finished on the podium back in Indonesia, and he said the last couple of months have been an absolute nightmare and a real struggle, and it was a very scary situation that he found himself in. These are his words, not mine, but injuring yourself, no matter what it is never good news, but yeah, fracturing the right leg at the final chicane over at the TT circuit, Assen, just, yeah, not a nice place to be, and thankfully Lunetta wasn't out for too long, got himself back on board his machine at the Catalan Grand Prix, finished inside the points, then had a DNF unfortunately over at Misano, but was then back in the top 10 in Japan, and then of course got that podium finish over in Mandalika, and then backed it up with a front row and a P7 last time out in Australia. It'd be good to see Lunetta win in his final 3 races in Moto3. I'm actually really excited, to be honest, to see what he can do on a Moto2 machine. You rightly point out that his height is getting a bit too much now for a Moto3 bike, and it's yeah, interesting prospect jumping on that speed up, the Boscoscuro chassis in the Team RS team in Moto2. Really intrigued to see how Lunetta goes. The spotlight won't really be on him next year in terms of the rookies, you feel, because we've got Wade and Heras moving up. The world champion in Moto3 will always get a lot of the spotlight, just as David Lonzo has this. But yeah, watch out, Luca.
Those who don't get the spotlight don't often shine. We've seen Valentin Peroni in Moto3. He's been shining very, very strongly in 2025. We've had Daniel Holgado who moved up, and I don't think there was a lot expected of him, but he has really taken the Moto2, at least in the second half of this season, like a duck to water. I can tell you, we are probably looking at a further 15 minutes from now until we are ready to rock and roll with Moto3 practice. Obviously, as I was saying earlier, safety absolutely paramount, but this is not what the Moto3 riders would have needed. This is going to have a big knock-on effect as well for the rest of the day's schedule. Jack Appleyard, where are you? Will you get down to pit lane and help us out? Well, let me do it in a language you'll understand. Will you get down to pit lane and help us out? Session delay due to oil on track here, and that's... I can tell you down at turn 9, that is the big clear-up operation. Jose Antonio Rueda taking it all in his stride. Your newly crowned world champion, and did it with the same amount of remaining Grand Prix as David Alonso managed to do last year, as we touched on earlier, when we were going through 10 wins in a season. Not many riders have been able to do that. In fact, he is only the 6th. Not sure we did anticipate a very much a replica of what David Alonso was able to do last year. But here's Antonio already gone and done it, and he has done it in some style. He's looked by far and away, really, since we got back to the off. I think Jerez was a big tipping point, round 5, where he just cleared off at home in front of his friends and family and all his loved ones, and achieved a big dream to win at home. And I think that was just the start of things to come. Of course, he was already a championship leader by that point anyway, but I've got to say, Jose Antonio has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it's pretty flawless, really. The only 2, well, let's call it 3 blips. Last lap in Aragon, first corner, made a small mistake, ran slightly wide, still finished inside the top 10. And then, yeah, it just went on to be unbelievable. I believe we can go down to pit lane.
We can. I think Jack's down there with someone who's very special. Jack, take it away and welcome.
Yeah, nice to be down here, speaking for the very first time to Spanish, the home hero this weekend. Of course, we expected taking a full debut in the World Championship. So, firstly, nice to meet you, Hakim. How are you?
Yes, nice to meet you too. I am fine.
I imagine very excited to be making your debut this weekend. How did you find this morning?
Yeah, in this morning, I feel very excited to start, and I feel very good on the bike and with in the front of all my fans from Malaysia, especially the home GP for me, my first time. So I am very happy.
Now, I imagine you've done quite a few laps around Sepang. How many are we talking? Hundreds? Thousands? A lot of laps, I guess.
Yeah. Before I also training also in Sepang, so I still need to keep working with the Moto3 to be fast competitive for this weekend.
This weekend, have you got a lot of family and friends here?
Yes. My family, my fans, my friends all come here to see me.
Next year, are we going to see you full time?
Yeah, I don't know yet, but I want to see you here.
Yeah, we want to see you on the grid as well. Hakim, lovely to meet you. Good job this morning, and hopefully you have a fun weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Hakim. Very pleasant young man, of course. I'm not talking about Jack Appleyard. Vincent, of course, he is not so bad either. Jack, thank you for jumping in as well. I've got to say, he must have left his lunch break to do inside the paddock before.
Not normally on for extra work either, so good to see him down there. Can't quite see him at this moment in time. He's obviously quite a difficult man to spot from a distance. So. But no, thank you, Jack. Hopefully more interviews come in. We are, expected to continue the delay for another 15 minutes or so, really. This is a big clean-up operation. You can probably see from your TV screens if you've been watching and you've not gone to stick the kettle on or turn us off by now, understandably so. Welcome back if you have, and then maybe see you in a little while if you're going to turn us off again.
What time are we on here, local time? It's about 1:30, so let's say we're saying the UK or Europe with 5:30, 6:30.
6:30 London time.
Yeah, I reckon that's time to pull the fridge closer as well. Never mind the coffee and the tea. Let you guys work it out. Joel Esteban is, he's not going to get a tan from sitting there, and I can tell you, in other news, there's not going to be a lot of tanning going on today. There is the greatest, biggest, dirtiest, blackest cloud working its way over towards turn 5. So I have a horrible feeling that if this isn't cleared up soon, then a massive rain shower is going to come and make things very much more complicated. There's Hakim Danish. That's very good to see. Hakim Danish, of course, making his first appearance in Moto2 World Championship. He's in the Windsor MSI MT Helmets camp this weekend. That's where he normally is, of course, back in Junior GP. Not in the exact same colours as the team, but with the exact same support that he normally gets back in Junior GP.
Yeah, exactly that. Good to see Danish finally making his Grand Prix debut. As you mentioned earlier on this morning, he's a very exciting Malaysian coming up through the ranks, finished 3rd overall in the Red Bull Rookies Cup this year. Got a win under his belt and 7 podium finishes. 2022 Asia Talent Cup champion as well. Another one on the Asia Talent Cup production line, their championship. if you're not aware, can be wrapped up. Well, it will be wrapped up either way. The final weekend of Asia Talent Cup action this weekend. So if you can, do tune into that because we have an intriguing title race unfolding there between two Japanese riders.
Hold that thought. Al, I was looking for to call you Jack Appleyard there. That's because Jack Appleyard has just come in our headset. He has someone else, Jack South.
Yeah, got Jacob Ralston with me, of course, the home hero from Australia last time out, was having a brilliant ride before that small mistake cost him dearly. But Jacob, I've seen your Instagram posts. You're out there looking for a job, so I thought with this break, there's no better opportunity in front of the world that are listening right now for you to do a little elevator pitch, 60 seconds, to every Moto3 team manager to say why they should have Jacob Ralston on their bike next year. This is your opportunity, mate. So tell yourself, why should you be on the grid next year?
Why shouldn't they, Jack? You know, it's a difficult difficult time to be. You know, looking for a ride next year, but it's racing. It happens. You know, I haven't had the perfect season, and but no, I do think that I'm able to come back and to keep improving. But you know, it's due to I've been able to be a paid rider the last 2.5 years, so to compete with teams and riders that are offering hundreds of thousands of euros, it's extremely difficult. So we'll wait, we'll be patient. Myself, my manager, my family, we're all working hard, but I just have to focus on riding, which is good, and I believe that I'm doing that in a decent way. It's something that some riders can get you know, a little bit overthinking, but people know I'm looking for a ride, so that's it. There's not much more I can do except go fast on the track, so we'll keep doing that. We keep chipping away as well.
We're unbiased in the commentary box, but I personally think you deserve to be on this grid next year, so fingers crossed something works out. But it feels as though after a tricky start to the season, I'm not sure many know just how difficult that injury was at the start of the year, but in recent weeks you feel as though you've found your rhythm and you've been inside that top 10 on a real regular basis, and it was a great start to the weekend this morning.
Yeah, of course, it's something that, you know, I had a big injury. I did break my neck, but it's everything else that comes from that. It's, you know, I still have pain to this day. I got physio treatment 30 minutes ago for it. Like, it's still something that it's a long process, and as well, it's a lot. It was a mental struggle as well to be, you know, it was winter time when I was in Spain at home. It was really, really difficult. It was dark time, but you know, it is what it is. It's something that's a part of the sport, and I consider myself quite a tough person. So, you know, I had quite a bit of issues behind the scenes with just the people around me and in and out of the box as well. So that was something to really deal with. But as well, yeah, as you said, I've made a bit of a step with myself, and as well, you know, I've got Fabio Di Antonio as a mentor / manager now, and that's really helped me. I really think if you even look at photos of my riding style from between 4 rounds, it's completely changed in a good way, and I really think it's been really beneficial. So, you know, I'll keep chipping away, try and keep searching for sponsors to you know, help fund whatever my next journey is. I don't know. I do hope it's in the World Championship in this paddock. I do want to stay on Grand Prix bikes. You know, it's something that I'm not. I'm not at the time where I'm wanting to switch to superbike or anything like that, or super sport. It's, you know, if something comes up in GP Moto2, then we'll fight for that, or, you know, for anything that I can get at the moment, I'll be happy with. So keep chipping away, keep my head down, and
Fabio's journey in the MotoGP paddock has been a roller coaster one as well, up and down. So how valuable is it having someone like that in your corner that has walked those steps that you're going through now?
It's something that you can't buy something like that. He approached me around Aragon time, and I was really, really surprised, and we had a meeting with him and his manager, and I was just blown away, to be honest. The stuff that he knew about me and the research that he'd done is something that, you know, I really valued, and to have him here is something that you know, I'm extremely grateful. It was you know, I'm a strong believer in things happen for a reason, and he came at a time that I needed him to really come about, and I'm thankful for that. And yeah, as you said, he hasn't had the smoothest of journeys, but he just keeps chipping away and doing what he loves and believing, and that's something that I'm going to be doing as well. That's what they keep keep drilling into me is just to relax, enjoy, even if it is my last few rounds of World Championship, to finish, you know, enjoying it and making sure that I make the most of it, which I will.
Fabio's MotoGP career was saved with 3 rounds to go by getting a debut victory. So 3 rounds to go in this one. Debut victory. Let's hope lightning strikes twice.
Why not? You know, it started off this morning good. I'm feeling better than I went, so yeah, why not?
Let's see. Get stuck in. Cheers, Jacob.
Thank you, mate.
Get stuck in. Wise words from Jack Appleyard and wholly echoed up here in comms for Jacob Ralston. A lot of misfortune in 2025. And I've got to say, if he isn't on the grid in 2026, it will be a massive shame. The results don't tell the full picture, and Jacob Ralston's pitch to be on the Moto3 grid. I think, hopefully, someone out there has listened and taken it on board.
Yeah, cheers for that, Jack. A good interview. Good to hear Ralston speaking so candidly. Of course, we're still waiting for the session to get underway. 13:50 predicted, or estimated, I should say, start time, but yeah, that's another 10 minutes or so away yet, and we could have further delays. But yeah, echoes those thoughts completely. It's a good point Ralston makes about Fabio Di Antonio being involved with Ralston these days. Saw it firsthand over in Indonesia. Ralston was in the media centre having a chat, and Digia was doing his media debrief and then came up to speak to Ralston later, and they were just having a little chat, and Digia was saying, I'll make time later on, busy now with my stuff, but later on I'll meet you in the box and we can have a chat. Great to see MotoGP riders. We know with the likes of the VR46 Academy, you know, the Marquez brothers are heavily involved with Quiles. Great to see MotoGP riders passing on their wisdom, passing on their experience to these riders coming up, because it isn't a straightforward process. You don't have an easy ride in Grand Prix racing. This is elite level sport. You very, very rarely find a person who goes on to be successful. In fact, you never find a person who goes on to be a great success in sport who's just had a nice easy cruise up through the ranks to get to the pinnacle. That's just not how it works, and fingers crossed for Ralston that he can either be on this grid next year, or if not, find another pathway back into Grand Prix at some stage, because he's got the talent and he's got the people behind him to back him up and help him along the way as well.
Worth noting, and it was a brilliant question from Jack down there as well, that a lot of it is about past experiences. We do talk about mentoring on track and rider coaching and spotting, but some of it, most of it, is all about navigating this minefield of negotiating rides, on track, sponsorship deals, partnerships, how to pick yourself up when you are knocked down a little bit. So much of it comes from that high-end MotoGP experience that can be passed on through the ranks. Jack is keeping busy. Jack, keep up for it.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to welcome Hakim Danish to everybody earlier on. I didn't get a chance to catch up with this man on his debut last time out, but I'm here with Brian Uriarte, of course, who just won the Red Bull Rookies Cup, making his second appearance this weekend. Brian, good to see you. Welcome to the World Championship.
Thank you, thank you.
So, talk to us about Phillip Island. What a place to make your debut. Did you enjoy it?
Well, it was very difficult because it was in difficult conditions. The first practice was completely wet, and then finally I had a crash and I lost the first pre-practice. Then after, with the wind and some conditions that were very tricky, I was having some problems and I struggled this weekend, but well, I don't know. Here I feel better, and let's see. But also the conditions are quite tricky also, so let's see. I'll just enjoy it.
Well, great to see you here. I'm getting the finger from your manager, Emilio, so I'm going to let you go before I get in trouble. Hopefully we'll chat some more next year, maybe in Park Ferme.
Let's see. Thank you.
Cheers, Brian.
Yeah, I think Emilio Alzamora has just come across because pit lane opens in 6 minutes and 9 seconds from now. So someone like Jack Appleyard to adhere to instructions and rules. Thank you very much, though, Jack. I'm sure we will hear plenty more of you throughout the weekend. But I must say, I don't want to hear too much more of you in this session, because that would mean a delay. But before we do go green, Jack, back down to you.
Yes, I wanted to just add, I was going to ask Brian about this, but I just put it ever so sneakily at the end there. A fun story about him. It just shows the confidence and the talent of the young man as we were boarding a plane to go to Misano, which was the season finale for the Red Bull Rookies Cup, which of course he was leading and went on to win. We were queuing up to get onto the plane, and he turned around and he said, "Oh, Jack, nice to meet you." I said, "Oh, Brian, lovely to meet you. Very nice to to introduce yourself, and I hope you have good fun this weekend. He says, look forward to speaking to you a lot next year in Park Ferme. So he's a confident young man, and you have to say, so far he's been backing that confidence up with plenty of talent out on track. And as you say, I'm sure I probably will get the chance to speak to him quite regularly next year.
How many people say that they're happy to meet you, Jack, just before you go, if you're still listening?
He's the only one this year, actually, so...
Surprising that.
Yeah, I don't really know why that is, actually. So if anybody else wants to come up and say that it's a pleasure to meet me, then you'll become number 2.
Mate, it's one more than they've said to me, that's for sure. I normally just get waved on by. We're going to leave that there because the safety car is providing the entertainment absolutely sideways on through turn 9 and up the hill through turn 10. It's now at turn 14. Now it's going back down the straight towards the final corner, and again a bit of broad sliding going on there. Looking very cool, Karma Collector, though. It's all in hand. Less than 5 minutes to go. I can tell you that dark cloud that I labelled earlier on has moved ever closer, but it is just moving away towards turn, I reckon, 8, and towards the north end of this Sepang circuit. So those dark clouds are hopefully leaving us alone.
Yes, hopefully so. If we were on schedule, I think we'd just about finish Moto3 Practice by now, so it would have held off. But yes, the dark clouds are looming across the far end of the circuit, but fingers crossed we can get at least some dry running in. This session opens in less than 3 minutes. Thankfully, we'll be getting underway very shortly indeed. But yeah, I was there for that conversation with Brian.
Sorry, one moment. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my dearie me, that is absolutely gorgeous. Continue.
Not like you to get overly excited at points, is it?
No.
But it was good, I'll give you that one. It was a nice little picture.
No, that was a video, mate. This is live TV, not pictures.
You know what. Yeah, I was there for when we were queuing up to board the plane for Mazzano, and he was a very polite young man, is Brian Ariarte. Another super exciting talent coming from Spain. He's, as we said, the Red Bull Rookies Cup champion from this year, and he's very, very likely to pick up the Junior GP championship as well. He's 63 points clear at this moment in time. We're ahead of Rico Salmella, who we are welcoming to the grid. Also in 2026, there's 4 races to go. The final round is, I believe, the weekend after the Valencia at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo. So if you haven't had enough of motorcycle racing by the end of this season, 22 Grand Prix, then you can enjoy a weekend of action over in Valencia with the finale of Junior GP as well. So yes, excited to see how Ariarte gets on for the rest of this weekend and any of the Moto3 clearances he'll have in 2025, and then when he steps into the Red Bull KTM IO box in 2026.
Well, I can say that I could do a few more rounds at the end of this season. I might just have your advice there, right?
Go for it, mate. I won't be joining you.
We're looking in the box here. This is Tacticorn Boazzi, who was back with us, of course, last time out in Australia. And nice to see that Tacticorn Boazzi is back with us again here for our final stop on our Asian Pacific tour. Less than 2 minutes until we have the pit lane open, and we have 35 minutes of Moto3 action. Now, I'll tell you what, let's just talk serious for a moment if we can, as we get closer to this going green. These clouds that are around, I know we keep banging on about the weather, but unfortunately in Malaysia and all walks of life, it is a bit of a talking point. It is going to be absolutely paramount that the riders get out on track and get those bankers in, because here, when it rains, it pours. This track is probably going to dry out within 10 minutes, enough for slicks, I would say, but whether or not it gets much drier if it rains at the start of this session than what it is currently now in 30 minutes or so, I don't know. So it's massively, massively important and imperative to get out there, get a lap time set, and don't throw it at the scenery.
Yeah, from what I can see down the start-finish straight, there is quite a big dry line appearing. Around turns 4 and 5 and 6, there's a dry line. So yeah, to be honest, if you fancy a little bit of a gamble and don't want to waste time, which, as you rightly say, Kiko, we haven't got much time to waste if those very dark clouds are looming around this circuit, then get out there, get some slick tyres on and get yourself some bank lap times in, because obviously if it does rain and you've got a dry time in, then you aren't going to improve. So Yeah, this is potentially going to be roles reversed. The first 10-15 minutes might be pretty frantic here in Moto3 practice, and then we might have a bit of a waiting game if the heavens do open towards the final 15 minutes. So, yeah, we're about to get underway. Less than 20 seconds to go. Everyone's excited, including us in the comments box. You can just see there at the back of the picture. There is one of the dark clouds we can see coming over the final corner, and it all spreads out, as we say, around turn 6 towards the right-hand side of the circuit.
That cloud looks like it's going to dump a whole load of water around the Sepang circuit. But anyway, we are now pit lane open, so the session is officially underway. Just on another thing that maybe you haven't been able to pick up, the wind has picked up quite a lot as well. Right opposite us, on top of the pit building, there's a couple of covers over some crates, and they were not flapping before. The trees just behind that are now waving in the distance. We are going to have a dramatic Moto3 practice here. I'll tell you what, Jose Antonio will be very, very happy that this title is already wrapped up. You can see everybody straight out down pit lane and out on towards the track at turn 1, and leading the way. It looks like Jose Antonio ahead of Luca Lanetta, and then it's a raft of KTMs, one of the leopard bikes. That's the dark cloud that we were talking about just a few moments ago. But that is really not looking very healthy indeed for this session. But let's see what we can get underway here and see what lap times we have. I remind you this morning, fastest lap time of 2:10.979, 8.5 tenths covered the top 14 down to Scott Ogden at 2:11.8. It has since rained, so let's see what we've got here at Sepang in the opening laps, and let's see if we can have a close-up on the tyres as well. Let's see what they're running. I reckon a few of them have gone out on wets there, you know, just to see what the conditions are like, because these guys haven't been out on the track. It's only been the safety car that's been out so far.
Yeah, that's definitely slick tyre territory for sure from what we can see. Yeah, again there you can see all the way around the circuit. It's not too dissimilar actually to what we saw earlier this morning. You can see the updated Friday schedule on the right hand side of your screens there. So it's going to be interesting to see. Can't quite tell from our angle at this moment in time what tyres the rider on. Looks slicks all there. I assume Rueda is on slicks as well with the sort of pace he's setting on his outlap. Tricky situation this for the Moto3 riders. You want to push as early as possible because of what we were just saying, but also you've just seen a big oil spill cleanup, so you don't want to be pushing too much, and there are still wet patches out there. So this is a mix of wanting to push while it's still dry. They can see the dark clouds looming, but also got to go out there and not push too hard too soon. And that's definitely on slick tyres there.
We will be notifying you as soon as we do see spots of rain. I can tell you things to look out for. The white flag with a red cross going diagonally across from corner to corner. That's the sign that it's raining in that sector. The other one, the obvious one, are those that are in uncovered grandstands start putting brollies up, because when it rains here, it starts coming down in bucket loads. We're working our way down though towards turn 15, and we are going to have our first flying lap started in just a few moments' time. Friday's schedule has been updated. Moto2 Practice coming up at 14:40 local time, 25 to 4 for MotoGP Practice. So we are going to be quite delayed for the rest of the day. But let's see if that has a big effect with the weather, because we know that afternoon thunderstorms here in Malaysia are a real problem and a real threat and possibility.
Yeah, certainly so. Right then, 32 minutes to go. Let's see how long this rain holds off for. And if it holds off for most of the session, I'll be very surprised, but very thankful as well. Rueda first on the roads. And this is going to be all about just bedding yourself into this session, getting those tyres up to temperature, gaining some confidence in these conditions, and then going as fast as you can. Rueda first on the roads, and he's looking pretty comfortable this weekend so far, is Rueda. I can just see Ruche Moodley, I believe, has just pulled into pit lane, so maybe Moodley, bit of a guessing game here, but potentially on at least one wet weather tyre, I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe he's coming in, he's either got a problem or wants to change onto slick tyres if he has indeed gone out there on wet, because as you can see, the track is more than capable of having slick tyres at the moment. The important thing is that you want to be really careful on the curbs, on the white lines, because one crash, these Moto3 riders only have one bike. You don't want to have a crash in what is already quite a short session, and on a day where limited track time is a very real threat. Rueda is leading the charge though. This is down towards turn 9. This is where we saw some of the big clear-up operation earlier on. We're going to follow him up through the hill at turn 10, over the brow of the hill, then down in towards turn 11, and then dropping back down to 12 and 13. Rueda is going to be the first rider to set a lap time in about 35 to 40 seconds time.
Yeah, coming through the final split right about now as they just tip it through into turn 13. This is the famous turn 14 before you get a great launch out of 14 up the back straight, braking hard into 15, and it does look like, well, it's a definitely change of tyres there for Rouge Moonley. Not sure if there's an issue with the bike, but maybe they did head out on wet Pirelli rubber, and Moodley understandably so. We've seen everyone else pretty much on slick tyres, and of course got a feel for the conditions and thought, no, this is dry weather territory for sure.
Rueda's coming through the final corner. This is not going to threaten what we saw this morning. I remind you of 2:10.9. We're going to be around 2:15, I think, here for Rueda when he comes across the line. 2:16.1, of course, that is the first fastest lap of this session, but behind 2:15 straight away for the likes of Marco Morelli, Valentin Peroni, Brian Uriarte. Those three are in the 2:15, so the pace isn't actually that far off what we were able to see this morning, but they just need to have a clear run of things to get into the groove here at Sepang. No shot, but our local wildcard, Hakim Danish, has gone up to the top of the 2:51. He's hit the ground running as we see Jacob Wilson just coming up the inside of the 22 of David Almanza. Marco Morelli with a perfect view of that. He's in P2 and just behind these two up ahead of him.
Spot the Malaysian who knows this track like the back of their hands. Hakim Danish at the top of the timesheets by 0.6 of a second on his first lap of 2:15.1. Top job done from the wildcard rider. Of course, we're going to see those times tumble already in that first split. Hakim Danish is over 0.3 under his fastest lap time. Morelli's in a very quick group, and Ralston and Almanza are having a nice little battle there, just beating each other up, which is probably not what you need to do at this moment in time, boys, but Wilson clearly feeling comfortable on that number 12.
Yeah, indeed, and Ralston obviously had pace this morning and was up in there in P2, just half a tenth away from P1 and Picaras. Picaras in his first lap has gone 4. We pick up Danish now. He's got Joel Kelso right behind him. I'll tell you what, Joel Kelso could probably learn a thing or two from Danish here. Danish running right out to the curb and on the line, so he knows his way around it. It's pretty dry out, I've got to say. I'll be surprised if they don't end up faster at the end of this session, if it all does stay dry. Dark clouds are still a threat, but at the moment it is Hakim Danish who is leading away on 2:15.1, but you can see the red sectors all the way through and across our timing one, and so we've got Brian Uriarte who after 3 sectors is more than a second up. Giles likewise. So I've got to say, we are going to have, well, Wilson's 1.5 seconds up as he came through the 3rd sector, so we've got a lot of time left in this lap yet, and quite a lot of time to try and get a lap time back.
Yeah, Ralston 1.5 seconds up and overtook Almanza at least twice from what we've seen. The Australian backing it into the final corner. Quiles also, but gets it all sorts of wrong on the number 28. Ralston, Almanza and co do run a little bit wide, but that corner is a off camber, and you can take a variety of lines. If you do run wide, you can hook it back up to the apex and get a run out of the final corner. Ralston, of course, did lose plenty of time there, but still goes top of the timesheets, 2:13.6. To be honest, looking at it from our angle, these are conditions to this morning. It's a we're out there. Track temperature will have risen. Air temperature has risen up to 30 degrees now. So temperatures are warmer, but track conditions in terms of small wet patches around look pretty similar. So I think the riders will be getting pretty comfortable pretty early on.
Indeed they will, and of course they're already a couple of seconds off what they were able to this morning, so if this stays dry, I reckon we'll be going a lot quicker than this morning. Quiles versus Pini, what are we having a look at here? This was Morelli versus Pini down towards turn 15, but that was the moment in the foreground for Max Quiles, and he is exiting stage right. He goes straight on, but keeps out the grass and out the gravel, so good stuff from Quiles. Didn't lose a heap of time and saved a lot of time repairing the bike in the pit. Back to the action live on track. This is over at turns 7 and 8. Tyler Fluosato up there in P2 at the moment, already halfway round this lap. He's just over a tenth or so up on Ralston's time. Ralston's ahead of this group at the moment with Almanza, Quiles, Pini, Morelli, and this rider, Tyler Fluosato, the number 72 at the back.
The podium finisher here last year was the number 72. Second place is the team look on. That's Hiroshi Oyama, of course. The team manager, Peroni, just getting it a little bit wrong there through and into turn 11. The Argentine, who has plenty of experience in training modes on this circuit. 9 Grand Prix mode, though, so a fresh challenge for Peroni and the rookies this weekend. But this is going to continue to get faster and faster as the riders continue on their way. Keyless, after making that mistake, that's not what you want to do. You can see the splashes of water being kicked up on the exit there. That's going to cause you to lose time. Want to be careful then into the next braking zone, the heavy braking zone, of course, of turn 15. Keyless gets it a much better rounds, sits up David Almanza on the Leopard Honda, and Keyless could be going to the top of the timesheet, it?
I always just wince when Keyless comes up the inside of someone in a practice session. Coming to the line, Keyless, what's he got? 2:13 flat, and that is the fastest time of the session ahead of Pini. Ricky Rossi having another great session here already. I know it's early, but 2:13.350 for Ricky Rossi at the moment, puts him provisionally in the top 3 and through into Q2. This is the replay we saw of the exit of turn 14, and it's just what we were saying, running out wide across the curve and dropping a wheel down. That's wet out there. That's not what you want.
No, that's not the line that you want to be using on the exit of turn 15, and just a little bit of a warning for Keyless and co, just to not stray too far offline, because as we mentioned, we've had plenty of wet weather. There's not too much on the exit of turn 4 there either to play with, so if you get it a little bit wrong, it can cost you dearly. But Keyless still managed to set the fastest lap of the session so far, and we're understandably seeing on our timing screens lots of yellow crash helmets appearing. Rouche Moodley, I can tell you, is back out on circuit, which is good news for the South African. And Nico Ferraro is currently on a very good lap as Keyless has to sit up out of this one.
The only rider who hasn't set a lap time is Noah Dexter. So obviously there's a problem down there in the CIP green barrel box. I can't believe the strategy would be to not go out at all. Got to say, Scott Ogden is out there on track at the moment in 19th place and he set 4 laps. So I'm not quite sure what's going on down there with Noah Dexter, the number 55, the rider from Switzerland. So he has got back out on track. He's in 25th place. What am I talking about? He's in the pits. Someone's not gone out. Who's not gone out?
Moodley, I think.
Moodley? You know,
Moodley's not set a time.
Moodley's not set a time. That's what's thrown me. Well, either way, Noah Dexter is in the pit lane. So I find that quite unusual given the situation we find ourselves in. Angel Figueras with P1 this morning. Guido Pini gets out of it going down the straight. This is Figueras, though he's right up behind Adrian Fernandez, and it's Alvaro Carpe who's there as well. Peroni is a quarter of a second under. 3 sectors into this flying lap. The team watch on. Let's get back to the action now as we get Peroni sitting up Nicola Carraro. That's to the final corner. Peroni is looking very good to go top here. He's got a bit of a slip in the Luca Lanetta as well, comes across the line. Peroni does indeed go top and he's into the 212s. The first rider into the 212s. Figueras joins him and goes P1. So the times are tumbling. We knew this was going to happen, but it's all about getting them all done. Just in case of that threat of rain, I can tell you, moving through into 11th place is Hakim Danish. And then you have Taj Gumbawazri, the Thai rider, there in 14th place. Just 3/4 of a second splitting your top 14 riders provisionally, but there's a lot of time left yet.
Certainly is. 2:17.7 is what Taika Sato set. Rouche Moodley also set a 2:12.7, sorry. This morning Buchanan also, they were just hanging around the outside of the top 20 early on. And at this moment in time, but this is going to get quicker and quicker as we go into the session. Again, plenty of yellow crash helmets, orange crash helmets, whatever you want to call them, on our timing screens. So yeah, there's grip out there, there's time out there, but we've still got a little way to go before we're into the 2-minute 10s, which is where Figueras found himself earlier on this morning. You can see there from your timing tower, Jose Antonio Rueda, Jeffrey Goulston, 2 riders who are at the sharp ends a little bit earlier on in this session, have dropped outside the top 14. So yeah, work to do for Rueda, but we're on board with him now, and he is going quicker once more.
Have a lot of luck. Colours for you. Blue sunshine last time out. Yellow crash helmets and sectors in this one. All on eyeglasses, mate. Coming through 13, Jose Antonio Rueda is absolutely flying in. This is the second point. Yeah, this is going to go P1 if he can hold it. Plus, we're still a long way off the all-time lap record. The 2:09.5 from Adrian Fernandez last year. Fastest race lap, fastest race lap was David Alonso, 2:11.0. So we're not too far off that, but there's still time to be had in this one just yet. The most important thing is just keeping it on 2 wheels and not making a haul it at any of our rather tricky off-camber corners and hard braking areas around this 5.54 kilometre length circuits here in Sepang. Priority goes up into the top four. Ueda's going to go P1 with this and does so by 4/10 of a second ahead of Figueras. Rossi is right there as well. They're in third place, so Rossi riding his future, I believe. So this is a very, very good attempt to try and salvage a ride for next year. Ricky Rossi's been on the grid since 2019 and is in his worst run of form since then as well. 7 finishes, none in the points.
Yeah, no points since Germany for the Italian. This is turn 9, one of the hardest braking zones around this Sepang International Circuit. It's where Pecco Bagnaia, of course, famously crashed out of the sprint in 2024, which pretty much ended all hopes that Pecco had of claiming the title. A tricky corner to get right. We saw Jorge Navarro crash down there in Moto2 this week. And already as well. It won't be the first or last crash we see, I'm sure. Down at turn 9, that's Rueda, just being shadowed by Guido Pini and Marco Morelli a little bit earlier on in this session as we pick up Hakim Denish, the Malaysian wildcard rider, going very well indeed as well. P7 at this moment in time, and he's looking pretty good here to get into that top 14. I'm sure that would have been a realistic target for Denish coming into today anyway, no matter what the conditions were.
Very, very impressive indeed. Let's just see when this stuff does get properly dry and we are pushing the fast lap times where Denish stacks up, because this morning, yes, it was dry, but it was in this afternoon session as well. So let's see when push comes to shove exactly what Denish's got, but I'm very encouraged by what I'm seeing so far. Right there, Marco Morelli to Michael Laverty's Grid MLAV Honda team. Spoke with Michael Laverty earlier on today. Very, very happy with how things are progressing. They have made those steps that we were talking about earlier in FP1. Looks like Eddie O'Shea is going to stay at that team for next year, which is really encouraging for any British fans out there listening. O'Shea maybe not on one of his best seasons, but definitely the full-time rookie for 2025, deserving of a second opportunity. You need a couple of years to have a good crack at Moto3. It isn't easy. That's why it's the best of its level in the world. And Eddie O'Shea really a bit of consistency, sticking around in the Grid MLAV team next year. Looks like there's going to be a few old faces coming back into the team. Highly skilled people coming into the team, so encouraging signs down there. Michael Laverty's outfit, and at the moment, encouraging signs in this session. Marco Morelli is there in 12th place and provisionally through, and Eddie O'Shea is a million miles away, 18th place, 1.3 seconds off, and only 4/10 of a second or so away from going through into Q2 directly.
Yeah, always good to chat to Michael Laverty, always up for a chat, which we much appreciate. A very wise gentleman, of course, and yeah, was chatting about the team earlier, and definitely some positive notes coming from Michael's mouth, which was good news. And as he mentioned earlier on, we are expecting to see O'Shea on the grid full time next year, and I think for O'Shea to have a bit of consistency, the team to have a bit of consistency on that side of the box as well, and welcome in Joel Kelso, who Laverty is very, very excited about. And it's given, I think, the team and Michael a big boost to welcome in a very experienced rider, podium finisher, and potential race winner before the season ends as well. So yeah, exciting times, hopefully coming the way of the Grid MLAV team in 2026 with a new, well, a fresh lineup on one side of the box with lots of experience coming in, and also O'Shea looks like he's staying as well.
Yeah, and of course, you know, in Michael's own words this morning, Joel Kelso is a coup. So that's very, very encouraging that the team know that it hasn't been their best season. They know they've got to do better. And when you know it and you're not in denial, generally progress is made. And it's good for Eddie O'Shea as well to have a solid, consistent reference, not someone different on the side of the box every single weekend. Nicola Ferraro running right out there with Angel Piqueras just up ahead of him. That's over at turn 14. Easy done, but you don't want to be doing that too many times. Down towards final corner, Adrian Fernandez just ahead here of Piqueras. A bit of a moment on the break in. This corner was reprofiled for 2016, if I remember correctly, and it was changed to encourage a load more racing lines and overtaking opportunities. So definitely worked so far, even in free practice. Piqueras improves his time, goes second on a 2:12.146. we're hurtling towards that 2:11 mark, and won't long before in 2:10, I don't think.
Yeah, it looks like, well, the situation in terms of the weather looks much more promising than it did around about 20 minutes ago. We might be able to get away with this in Moto3 without any rain coming in, hopefully in Moto2 and MotoGP, as well as some of the riders pit, including session leader and world champion, of course, Jose Antonio Reyna. The top two in the championship sit 1-2 as things stand, with Alvaro Carpe in third. Carpe again looking good, building on that momentum. He's beginning to build once more after a bit of a lull in his season. Carpe found something that he was much more comfortable with on that KTM over in Indonesia, backed that up in Australia as well, and of course going well here in Malaysia too. So good news in the Red Bull KTM box, who of course clinched the Riders' Championship with Raider and the Teams' Championship last time out as well. And if Carpe can somehow climb the mountain, a pretty big one as well, with beating Piles to Rookie of the Year honours, then it'll be a perfect year for Red Bull KTM. But do think it's a little bit of a mountain too far, let's say, a bit of a stretch for Carpe to topple Piles if both of them are on track for the final for races, which we do hope they are, of course, as well. But will there be yet?
Alternatively, a mountain too high, not too far, of course, maybe. I don't know, could be both. Just looking outside the top 14 at the moment, Guido Pini's not going in Q2 as it stands. Needham's Joel Kelso down in 17th. That's a real problem for him. Luca Lanetta, neither. He's there. Joel Esteban, Ryuso Yamanaka. Well, it'll be another bundle of fun if he stays there in 22nd. We've got a chat to him later on. Uche Moodley and Cormac McCannon and Stefano Nepa. What is going on down there? He was 27th this morning. He's still 27th now. So a lot of big names who will be looking to try and move their way through into Q2. Going to have to put in a last-ditch attempt here in Moto3 practice, and if I were them, I wouldn't be coming down pit lane. I'll be sticking out there and trying to get another lap churned out, or another couple of laps churned out, just in case of the rain. But at the moment, it has cleared over towards turns 5 and 6. There is a little bit of blue sky poking through, but where are the clouds? They're never far away here in Malaysia, particularly the really dark ones. And I think around the back of the track, maybe towards turn 11, turn 13, around there.
That blue sky you're talking about is the smallest slither of blue sky I've seen for a long time. So don't get your hopes up, guys and girls at home.
Is it blue?
It is blue sky. It's not blue sunshine, which is good.
Well, good indeed. It's still blue sky, so we'll take what we can get.
Certainly will. Uriarte did promote himself into the top 14 as he just keeps it on the straight and narrow on the exit of turn 4. I've actually seen a few riders. Angel Bucaras is one of them on the exit of 14, pretty much every lap time running wide onto the grassy, wet part of the circuit. But been a positive Friday so far for Bucaras, which is exactly what he needed. Topped this morning and his second so far this afternoon after Sunday, let's say, to get over at Phillip Island. Never recovered from that massive moment at the final corner. Didn't get himself back into the points. We know, obviously, he's not able to win the World Championship this year, and Piles is really hunting him down for that second place. Bucaras will not want to finish any lower than second, that goes without saying, but he certainly won't want a compatriot and a rookie to be into silver medal honours in 2025. That's going to be a fascinating watch for the remainder of the season. And yeah, with Bucaras, just maybe a confidence-boosting Friday, let's say, here in Malaysia.
He needs it going into the final couple of rounds of tracks he knows as well. Portimao and Valencia, most of this field will know in some way, shape or form. So really interesting to see exactly how they crack on in a couple of weeks' time over in Portugal. Of course, we're in the Algarve. I think we will be the only tourists down there, I've got to say. Not really the ideal time to be going racing at Portimao. It is the slot it has on the calendar, but for sure Portimao is always a bit dramatic. And Moto3 action round there, and then Valencia is our traditional end of the year party. And it's brilliant to be back in Valencia after, of course, missing last year through the rather tragic flooding situation that occurred down there. But back to the present, there is absolutely no flooding situation going on at the moment. 12 minutes to go. Everyone is in pit lane. The rain is still holding off at the moment, and we are going to have a real tool to go through to Q2. The top 14 at the moment. Scott Ogden just squeezed his way in as well in 14th place. Uriarte and Guido Pini. So 15th and 16th for the Dynamo Intact guys. They'll be looking to move through. Kelso, as I say, 70. O'Shea, Blanchard, Lanetta, Esteban, Yamanaka. All of these riders can move through. Deppy has been in Q2, of course, as well, back in
isn't going to cut the mustard, unfortunately, for the 658 Quadricorsa team. Paolo Simoncelli, of course, leading that one. Yeah, there's some big names hanging around outside the top 14, some usual suspects that we normally see automatically going into Q2. Quiles is heading out early. He's near the drop zone out of the top 14, and P13 is the number 28. What we're going to replay on here, I think it's just your nice little slow-mo shot coming out of the final corner, those piercing eyes with the clear visors, which is always a positive when we get a little bit of wet weather. The riders put on those clear visors so they get a little bit more of a clearer view, and we can see those eyes and what they're going through on these machines. Quiles out there on his own as things stand. That's not going to be the way it will stay, of course, heading into the final 10 minutes, but a clear tactic here from the CS Moto Power Electronics Aspar team and Quiles to get out early and get some more laps on the board, because he's certainly not safe. He's less than half a tenth away from being dropped outside that top 14. As we wait and see who goes first, who blinks first, who is going to be the guinea pig. It looks like potentially Angel Piqueras. He doesn't necessarily need a time, but I think in these final 10 minutes, Pico, we're going to see the times drop quite dramatically, I'm predicting.
A nice, fresh, slick tyres as well, donned by everyone going out here. It was like the Suzuka 8 hour there. There's everyone absolutely pouncing at the same time, and the entirety of the Moto3 field jostle for position, rolling down pit lane. Watch that speed limit board. I think that was Luca Netta just rolling out, or was it Stefano Neppa? Well, whoever it was one of the 658 Squadra Corsa guys. Careful, don't knock over the speed limit board at the end of pit lane. 9 minutes, so when they come across the line, they will get 4 fast laps, perhaps, if everything goes smoothly. Definitely 3, and if they have any problems or misdemeanors or slow down a bit too much, then it might just cost them a fourth. But 9 minutes to go, and it's all to play for.
Certainly is. Here is Quiles with Pico, who's going to start his final time attack with just under 9 minutes to go. I think he's far enough behind to not catch up with the entire rest of the field that's just headed out together, apart from Ogden, Detfila and Buchanan, who remain in pit lane, judging by our timing screen. So Quiles on his way. He's not going to get slipstream, but I think there's going to be a big jostle for position out there. As we know, we saw at Phillip Island. I mean, we see some riders want a bit of slipstream, always happens, but we have some long straights here at Sepang, notably, of course, the long back straight into turn 15, and then the long front straight as well. Pretty much a kilometre long, just under a kilometre long is the front straight here at Sepang, and that slipstream can really pay dividends, potentially up to around about half a second if you get it right. So understandably, you want a bit of slipstream to try and get in that top 14 and cement your place. Decent lap good in for Quiles so far, not far away from the first split. Let's get him through the second split. Has he gained time? He hasn't, but he's on a personal best.
He's right in touch, really, and Quiles 13 without any problems or dropping it on this lap, but good to see that he's gone out there on his own, at least to get the banker in, and then if he picks up a bit of slipstream through one way or another, he'll be rather happy with that. Coming up through turn 10, we're going to take him through the third sector in a moment. It's just around the next corner out of turn 11, dropping down through 12 and out through 13, and that's when we'll get through sector 3 as we drop down the hill into the S's. Let's pick up the freight train coming across the line, and this is the start. Their flying lap, their final stints. Quiles 3/10 off, but that's still all right. That will put him well up inside the top 10 if he can hold that to the line.
Yeah, so everyone then has chosen to follow the world champion Jose Antonio Rueda. Adrian Fernandez, incidentally, is around about 2 seconds. Well, that's Scott Ogden actually coming out of into the distance ahead of this group. Quiles is just finishing his first time attack. Turn 15 to go. Does he get it right? He does. So now he's got to squirt it to the line, get the head behind the bubble, and see what lap time he can set.
Fernandez clearing off on his own, as we so often see him do in Moto3 practice. Quiles to the line. This will go top 3. Yes, indeed it does. On a wire 2:12.229. So a little bit of time still to find. Conditions not absolutely ideal. Very well indeed. I'll tell you what, we might have to go some more. We have got Carpe, we've got Piqueras, we've got Yamanaka. Who else is on a good one? We have got all the way down to Stefano Neppa, who's 4/10 off, but that's the time he needs. He's really sluggish at the moment and slouching all the way down in last place, Stefano Neppa. So a load of personal best and red sectors right across our timing monitor. Feeney as well. Jose Antonio Rueda is at the front of this group. Attacking Denise. What's he got? Yeah, he's a quarter of a second under as well. So this is all going to run until we get to the checkered flag here. And let's see what times we all end up with. We could have a very jumbled up Moto3 Q2 order all coming through. Figueres is trying to pick the pocket of tactical Boazri and does so. Boazri in turn is just a couple of tenths off. That's probably not too bad for Boazri. I mean, all these guys are going to improve. But Boazri could do with a decent marker like Angel Figueres to give himself a chance of getting into the top 14.
You know what, Rueda got that wrong coming through turn 13 and into 14. So this lap time has got away from Rueda in terms of potentially going top of the spot. He's going to get a nice bit of slipstream to gain a bit more time, but Rueda could find himself hanging, well, outside the top 14 because, as you can see from the timing tower on your left hand, top of the shot here on the 83. Hakkenden is behind him, but where does this leave?
I'll tell you what, look, I'm Simon Tower, can't even keep up with that. Carpe 2.11.1, 2.11.2 for Ryan Uriarte, Figueres, Almanza, Kelso, Ralston, Denise, Matteo Bertelli's in the party, Eddie O'Shea up there in 9th place, Burasato completing the top 10. That's getting tight. That's Guido Pini trying to come through on the Fernandez and Jose Antonio Rueda there in 14th place. We are going to have a couple more fast laps back. But not a lot of time, and I tell you what, any misdemeanors and yellow flags, that scrubs off a set of laps as well.
It certainly does. Uriarte then on a brilliant lap time through the first that you can see here, just over 2 tenths under.
Right on cue, yellow flags. Oh,
Ralston.
Jacob Ralston. Turn 4, most of the field is already through, and Jacob Ralston, well, he's 6th at the moment. You can't catch a break. Poor old Jacob, and I think more than anything that is through anger and frustration rather than through physical pain, but we hope he's all right. This is down towards turn 9. Sorry, El, continue.
No, all good. Unfortunate for the Australian there to crash out. Hopefully it is just frustration and not any sort of injury. You can see now that Rueda is outside of that top 14 in P15. Adrian Fernandez, who went top earlier on, around about a minute or two ago, is down in P14. Ralston is in 6th as things stand, so it might be session over in terms of being on the bike for Ralston, but he still could squeeze into that top 14. Rueda, though, the pressure is on champion. His job is done for the season, but it's not going to stop him from wanting to win the remaining 3 races. He's not been outside of Q2 this season as things stand. The only rider to not be in Q1, and he'll be wanting to keep that record up.
He really will, and this is probably the biggest challenge he's had. The yellow flags go in as the Asia Talent Cup riders watch on down towards turn 15. Jose Antonio Rueda, what is this going to be? I wouldn't past this going top 10, I've got to say. Rueda looks very, very good unless he lost a bit of time in that final corner. Across the line, it goes top 5, so Jose Antonio Rueda gets the job done. Nicola Carraro goes in, Ogden is not in at the moment. The times are changing right the way through. Lanetta goes 50th, but that's not good enough at the moment. A 2:11.187 is Carpe's top time, and that's the time to beat. You cut down in 14th place is Guido Pini, 2:11.939. You've got to be in the 2:11s to get through, and even that isn't good enough for Luca Lanetta, who's on a 2:11.941, but that's still only good enough for 15th place. 2,000ths of a second are in it between 14th and 15th.
Yeah, so the yellow flags have cleared, as you can see. This is Scott Ogden we're focusing on now, the number 19, sorry. There's a few riders run wide there, or crashed down in turn 2.
Oh, it's the other one. It's the I tell you what, that's the oh, don't let it go there. That's Valentin Peroni, so that's going to turn 4 is Tech 3 corner at the moment. And I tell you what, Valentin Peroni, 22nd. That is not looking very good at all for the Argentinian.
Yeah, flashed through the bottom of the screens there, and here's the other Tech 3 of Peroni who crashed at turn 4, just coming into sector 2. He's got it back going as the Argentine rookie. But it looks like there's a little bit of damage there. We saw something flick off. Maybe it was the front brake guard protector that's come off Peroni's machine. But yeah, I don't think he's going to get round to complete another lap time. Where is Peroni?
22nd.
He's 22nd. So that is Q1 bounds for the second weekend in a row, unfortunately. Looks like for the Argentine.
A lot of concern in the Leopard racing box as well for Mildred Couture and Massimo Virgini as they watch on. Adrian Fernandez is outside those top 14 places. at the moment down in 18th place, but 7/10 off it will just about sneak him up into 12th place, just ahead of Max Keyless, who's just behind Eddie O'Shea. A fantastic job by the Brit. The number 8 is in 11th place at the moment and staring down the barrel of Q2. Look at the chatter on the front of that Leopard Honda. Adrian Fernandez was in a bit deep there. I know you can take a variety of lines down to turn 15, but that wasn't one of them. Coming to the line, does he salvage anything? Is it good enough? Oh, it is. He goes into P12, but there's still a lot of riders behind him who are going to be looking at trying to come through with just 30 seconds on the clock.
Rueda then goes fastest of them all, goes ahead of Alvaro Carpi, his teammate, just out of shot there on the 99, so he was under pressure a couple of minutes ago as the world champion, but he has delivered as he so often has done in 2025. Where did Yamanaka go? He stays in P19. This is Alvaro Carpi, I believe. No, it's Jose Antonio Rueda, just confirmation of the fastest lap of 2:11.152. That's around about what he set this morning. In fact, just 2 thousandths quicker than he set this morning. So Rueda then job done in terms of getting himself into that top 14.
Checkered flag is out, so anyone who takes the checkered flag now is done, and Max Keyless has already taken it. So Max Keyless is 13th at best. This is going to be a very stressful last couple of minutes for the number 28 and the rest of the CF Moto Power Electronics Asphalt team. I've got to say, Pini, Lanetta, red sectors. Max Keyless may just find himself out of luck here and may not find himself in Q2 directly. He might have to go through Q1, and we know that's not easy. Nicola Carraro, another one who's at risk, as you can see on the graphic, but he's 14th and yet to take that checkered flag. Almost everyone is 5 lap here. There is still plenty of changes that could happen. Max Keyless is rooted to 13th at best.
Yeah, he certainly is. This is Lanetta down into turn 9, up the inside of Carpe, and Pini fancies a bit of that as well. Gets a little bit close for comfort between the two rookies, but Lanetta is pushing on here, and that's exactly what the Italian needs to do. He's outside the top 14.
And Pini had to come through on Carpe now, otherwise he loses time down at turn 9. He's got a good reference in Lanetta. Both of these riders need to move through. Marco Morelli, as you can see, is 7/10 off. That's still good enough to move through if he can hold it at the line. Carpe is going to try and come through on Pini here. Is he not this time? Scott Ogden is right there as well. These 4 are all very, very fast. Carpe should be through in P2 at the moment. Just ahead of Brian Uriarte. That's a fantastic job by the number 51 super sub, David Munoz. If he's got up early to watch this, he'll be very, very happy with what his replacement rider for at least this round and the next couple is doing at the moment. Coming up the inside, Carpe, you don't really need to be doing that. And Guido Pini will be shaking his head internally if he isn't doing it physically. But to the line, Guido Pini and Luca Lanetta, your 58 and your 94, they need the laps. What's it going to be? Lanetta goes 9th. Pini, it's not. He improved his lap time, but he's 16th, and I can tell you, look at him, he is really unhappy. Guido Pini is very, very frustrated with Alvaro Carpe. Now, these two tangled here earlier on this morning, and they are tangling again. It's deja vu from FP1. Marco Morelli takes the checkered flag, 23rd place for him. Eddie O'Shea, I think, has just been squeezed out of the top 10, but he's in 13th. But look who's not in the top 14. Max Keyless, Guido Pini, Joel Esteban, Ryusei Yamanaka, Valentin Peroni. We are on for an absolute riot in Q1 tomorrow. Leading the way, Rueda, Carpe, and an unbelievable job by Brian Uriarte. The Pini and Carpe situation continues on. It's going at turn 4 this time.
Yeah, they're still going at it. I can understand Pini's frustration there. Carpe dived up the inside at the final corner and potentially cost Pini time on the exit. Pini, as we saw, improved his lap time, but it wasn't enough. I mean, he misses out by a slender margin, less than half a tenth, I think I make it. Pini misses out, but he misses out, and you can understand that frustration. Carpe finishes P2, so he's got nothing to worry about. The stewards will have a little bit of a look at that, you feel, and come to a conclusion, but the number 99 tops the session once again.
Indeed he does. And Carpe's last lap time was a 2:12.7. His best lap time is a 2:11.1. So he is going a little bit off what he was able to do. This is Carpe, the number 83. He's done his job. There is a case to be argued for Guido Pini, I'm sure, but also Guido Pini left it very late to be relying on the last lap flyer himself. So the number 94 will not be in bad company, I've got to say, going through Q1 tomorrow. Like I said, Max Keyless, Adrian Fernandez just squeezing in 1,000th of a second. So Fernandez, who did it all on his own as he so often does, makes it 2 Leopard Hondas going into Q2. Davin Almanza completed the top 5. Angel Piqueras, who was fastest this morning, was there in 4th place. Caio Furusato, a good job done by him, having been 23rd earlier on. he is 6th when it matters. But Moto3 Practice, well, it was dramatic and delayed, but it was still headed by Jose Antonio Rueda, your world champion for 2025, ahead of his teammate Carpe. And what about it? The number 51 of Brian Uriarte in mighty form in 3rd. Piqueras, Almanza for Rosado Kelso, Jacob Ralston, out at turn 4, but it's still there in P8. 9th for Lunetta, Ogden completes the top 10. Super wildcard performance from Hakeem Danish, ahead of Matteo Vitali. Eddie O'Shea directly into Q2. In 13th place, ahead of Adrian Fernandez, Quiles and Pini, the two of the many headlining names that are going to find themselves down in Q1. Valentin Peroni is one of them. Nepa improved, but remains last from this morning into the afternoon. Neil Morrison into the hot seat.
Afternoon, everybody, and welcome along to Sepang. We are running around about 35 minutes